Welcome back, guys. Still tuned in to News and Views with myself, Salailo Makwidiri, and in a bit, I'll be joined by a Turkish historian working at Wits University Political Studies Department, Dr. Halim Gençoğlu, and he'll be shedding light on a very, very interesting seminar that they'll be having. This is an online seminar, and this seminar seeks to highlight the importance of Palestine as documented in the Ottoman Documents and Afterwards. Dr. Halim Gençoğlu is joining us via StreamYard to give us more insight on this online seminar that they'll be hosting. Dr. Gençoğlu, thank you so much for joining us. Always a pleasure having you on Salam Media. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Shukran for your time, Jili.
I think first and foremost, I want to chat a bit before I focus on this online seminar and its details. Just the inspiration behind hosting it. Palestine, Ottoman documents, where do the two align, and what inspired you, to want to tell the story and the significance historically of Palestine, particularly, looking at the current affairs, the ongoing genocide perpetuated by the Israeli occupying forces, the people of Palestine reduced literally to nothingness, to a people that don't have a history, that don't have a land, but you seem to want to put a different spin on it. Is that the inspiration, the current affairs, and the news of the day and what's currently happening?
Well, yes, of course, there is a reason. I mean, one of the maybe most important reasons that we are trying to show different dimension of historical studies in on Palestine. However, 2 years ago, I was appointed by Wits University to teach them how Ottoman Empire managed to operate the region, Middle East, basically, and particularly Palestine for 400 years in peace. And what is going on today? Yes, it started in 1948, establishment of Israel, Zionist state. However, in last decades, it becomes something completely different than just establishing a state in the Middle East. It's a series of massacres we are watching, and we can't do anything, unfortunately. So what I am trying to do in my seminar, as a scholar, I can read the Turkish documents, old Turkish documents, and I will show the participants how Ottoman managed to operate the multicultural and multi-religious nation to live in peace together. So how Ottoman did this, and that's why I am showing the documents, because if you don't have documents, historian cannot talk. Historian can only talk when we have documents, archival sources. So that's why I would like to show the participants, and there will be participants from even Palestine, Lebanon, England, and of course South Africa and Turkey. They are actually looking forward to see the documents. So that's the reason, in 1517, Ottoman state conquered Egypt from another Turkish state, Memluk state, and they managed to, operate the nations in peace. I don't say this; the documents tell us this. As I mentioned, I mean, people will see how Ottoman deal this, and they will also see that's another important thing, how, without distinguishing any religious and ethnic identity, how Ottoman administrators, how they approach the criminals. This is very important. So if you are discriminate criminals based on their religion and ethnic identity. So if they are Muslim or Christian or Jewish, if you treat them differently, then you are not state. This is very important point. So people tonight, they will see in my documents how Ottoman was actually, if I may say that, colorblind to just ignore the religious identity and ethnic identity when the criminal was in the court. So judge never see these things. But look at today. Look at the situation today in Israel courts. What is happening there? I mean, innocent people are in jails for no reason. Innocent journalists, writers. So this is very important point I am going to emphasize today.
And just looking at some of the topics that you're going to be covering, of course, delving into the historical and the geopolitical significance of Palestine, as recorded in Ottoman documents, and I think looking at the current time and space that we're in now, it's almost impossible for some people, especially maybe in the West, to kind of imagine just how much of importance Palestine at some point in history it had, when it comes to the geopolitics of the region of the Middle East. Why was that important for you to highlight and to have it as one of the topics, the historical and geopolitical significance of Palestine, who, right now have everything taken away from them?
Yeah. Well, firstly, Ottoman documents they're telling us different stories. What today Israeli government is spreading around, it's completely different. For instance, why we emphasize the name Palestine? Because it is in the documents always Palestine. So I'm just going to make few points about this, your question. Firstly, they are the Palestinian people. They are actually trying to prove their identity. We are Palestine, and this land was Palestine. So the documents actually exactly telling us same thing. The Palestine. If you look at documents, Palestine. Firstly, it was, as I said, conquered in 15. I'm talking about 16th century. I mean, 400 years ago, more than 400 years ago. Actually, today, more than 500 years ago, Ottoman had to, they conquered the land from, as I said, from another Turkish state, Memluks. Memluk ruled Egypt and entire North Africa. Then Ottoman had to leave the land after the First World War. Ottoman left because British Empire won they got the victory after the First World War. During this time, the documents are telling us Palestinian people, they were actually very hardworking. They were very clever, honest people. Why I'm telling this to you? Because Ottoman never sent officials to Palestine. What the Ottoman state did, they actually chose people from Palestine because they were also Ottoman citizens. And they work for the Ottoman state for their own land. One of the documents is very interesting. More than 300 years ago, a Palestinian man, Abdul Kerim, his name, he was saying they need to plant new olive trees in Gaza side. Today, unfortunately, it's massacre is happening there, genocide. So they did. and they listened. Ottoman administrators, they listened to him, Abdülkerim. Abdülkerim was a Palestinian official working for Ottoman state in Palestine, is in his own state. So then today, unfortunately, what we see, maybe some of the trees, Abdülkerim, he planted them by his own hand, and unfortunately those trees, olive trees, are today gone. Why? Because Israel, Zionist state, they don't want to see their old, any establishment, old, even old tree. They don't want to see even, imagine, they can't even deal with old olive trees. They don't want to see them because it reminds them there was actually civilization in this land before Israel came. So today, can you imagine? I mean, we are talking about human being, how they are actually cruel against human being, Palestinian, but they are also cruel to even innocent olive trees. Can you imagine? So these documents are showing us how Palestine was developed. Transitation was there from Haifa to Kudüs, from Haifa to Damascus, as far as Mecca. So if someone used train station from Haifa, Palestine, I am talking about Ottoman period, they could go to Mecca, Hajj, they could even see their or family members, or they can visit someone in Damascus, then they can use train again to go to Istanbul. That's how Ottoman Empire actually established excellent railway station there, and to develop, not just develop the region, but also keep the region safe, because it was much easier to use train to take army to Palestine side, which happened during the First World War anyway. That's how Ottoman state sent army to Palestine to protect the region, but unfortunately it wasn't successful enough. British occupied the city, Kudüs, and when Kudüs is occupied, they had to retreat. So the documents are telling us, as I said, much different story than what Zionist Israel today is spreading, completely false story against the region, history of the region, actually.
I want us to take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to focus on one of the topics that you'll be covering on the seminar, which is the impact of the Ottoman Empire's governance on contemporary Palestine, and if in any way there are still traces of that in modern day Palestine, and if there's anything that still resembles and is a legacy of Ottoman governance on Palestine, but we'll touch on that a bit after the short break.
Sure.
Many families have been displaced with their homes left destroyed. Through your donations, our teams are on the ground in Gaza, providing support and delivering necessary aid to families affected. The people of Gaza need your help. Give hope. Donate today to Penny Appeal South Africa. www.pennyappeal.org.za 031 1100 573.
We are here on the ground with Penny Appeal organizations in Gaza.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042 203 1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
You know, it's a wonder how kids get anything done these days. With all the distractions, when do they even get time to study? As a mother, all I can really do is make sure they have all they need to perform at their best. That's why I choose to include Sunfoil, triple refined pure sunflower oil with every meal I make. Naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether I'm cooking, frying or baking, I know every dish will be a wholesome one. Sunfoil, now we're cooking.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda.
Welcome back. You're still tuned in to News and Views with myself, Salalo Makwediri, right here on Salam Media, your home of humanitarian journalism. And we're still having a really, really interesting conversation with Turkish historian working at Wits University, Political Studies Department, Dr. Halim Gençoğlu. And we're touching on the seminar that they'll be hosting, which seeks to highlight Palestine and the Ottoman Documents and Afterwards. And Dr. Halim, thank you so much for staying with us. Before we went to the break, I wanted to touch a bit on the impact of the Ottoman Empire's governance on contemporary Palestine, and if there are any traces of that still left. Is there still a legacy, like we've seen in other parts of the world, particularly here in Africa, with a history of colonialism, where you have traces of it in the governance, and how we run the day-to-day politics of the country. Is it still the same with Palestine? Are there some instances that you can point at that this is a legacy of the Ottoman Empire, and is still being used and is still being continued by the people of Palestine, and how they run their day-to-day politics and governance?
Absolutely. There is very substantial Ottoman legacy in Palestine still, particularly in Kudus. We call it Kudus, I mean Jerusalem, and Gaza, Nablus. You will see sukkos, old Ottoman sukkos, bridges, many mosques in Kudus. If you just go to, when I was there in Jerusalem in 2017, excuse me, I read many, even I mean, it's good thing they acknowledge it also. I mean, Palestinian, they wrote there, this was established by Ottoman Sultan Abdülhamid, and or even there are even today Masjid al-Aqsa. If you look at the board there, they wrote there, this was last time it was renovated by the Sultan Selim, Magnificent Suleiman. So whoever goes to Palestine, they will see many Ottoman bridges, old buildings, sukkos. I just mentioned railway station in Haifa. Railway station is still active. They still use that one. As I said, many mosques, madrasa, so basically Islamic school at that time. Now they use them as a official governmental building, like post office. They become historical post office today. So this is one thing they have. But the other thing, during the Ottoman period, Ottoman era, many Palestinians got married to Turkish people, and also it was vice versa as well. I mean, many Palestinian Turkish also married to Palestinian people, Palestinian. So there is a family relation as well. So I give you interesting example. these are become today forgotten, but the Ahmet Shukayri, he was the founder of Palestine Freedom Organization. His mother was Turkish from Adana city. So I met his son now. He's about 80 years old. He lives in Lebanon. Unfortunately, he had to leave because he's politically he's actually problematic person, according to Israel, of course. Just like Edward Said, I mean, he had to live in America for years and he died there. So there are many Palestinian intellectual scholars. They had to leave the country, their own country. Can you imagine? This is also very sad. I mean, there is a illegal government. They come to your country. Just it happened in South Africa. Actually, that's why South African people are very sensitive about Palestine issue, and I really admire this a lot. I really admire South African people about this. That's why I teach this in Ottoman Documents in Palestine at Wits University, which is really honor for me to do that. So, of course, there are many documents, and I mean, I am talking about documents, but these documents are actually leading us to the substantial evidence, as I said. Why we have documents? Because Ottoman Empire, they issue the order and they say we must establish bridge now in Nablus. So they do. I give you one another example. I'm going to talk about this tonight, this evening, in my seminar. At the end of the 19th century, I mean, beginning of the 90s, 1905, Ottomans say we must now develop agriculture in Palestine. So what they did, they encouraged local people in Palestine to plant potato, because potato was very suitable for the region, for that climate. And they didn't, for 5 years, Ottoman didn't want tax, because, but actually, when you plant potato, just few months later, you get actually potato. But why they do this? They don't want to get benefit from this. Ottoman Empire didn't want to care about benefit, but what they want to do, they want to keep the peace there. People mustn't get hungry. There mustn't be problem there economically, because what happened after the First World War, when British Empire occupied the land, some even Palestinian people, because they were Ottoman citizens, it wasn't like in South Africa, we Ottoman never treated their other countries like colony, like British did, because what they did, they treated others like subject, but their own people, white people, citizen. So this is actually written by Professor Mamdani, Citizen and Subject in British colonies, which is very interesting study indeed. So Ottoman accept everybody citizen. So many people from Palestine, they came to Turkey. They moved to Turkey. They ran away, actually. They ran away from British. And they came to Turkey. Some of them left. They didn't come. They stay in Palestine. They die in Palestine. When I was in Palestine, I went to Gaza, Nablus. I was looking for actually their graveyard. I found few graves. Imagine they are from Turkish cities, Izmir, Adana, Istanbul. They died in Palestine. You just see their gravestones situated in Nablus, in Rafah, Ramallah. I saw them I even published article about this. So that's why Palestine is not just a Palestine is just a region for us. For Turkish people, it's like living still in our heart. So very important people in Palestine. I mean, this is not just a political issue, but it is also Ottoman legacy still alive in that land. So we try to protect that legacy as well. But other thing, what documents are telling us, if Ottoman Empire managed to run the region for 400 years in peace, how come another state, I call it fake state, because it cannot be really state like this. I mean, it's like gangster, group. You know, they are running.
Mafia state,
Exactly,
essentially.
exactly. It's absolutely mafia state. It can't be a proper democratic state at all. So that's why I am just wondering. I mean, how can be this cruel to any, not just even human being. I mean, even the olive trees I just mentioned. I mean, can you imagine? You don't want to see olive trees there, because you know olive trees, they live for centuries, and you know actually there was a civilization there. So you want to just destroy any civilization before Israel state. But there are many people, they are actually living in Palestine. They are older than Israel.
No, that's true. Dr. Gençoğlu, thank you so much for joining us. I think we're going to leave it here for now. We'll be sharing the details of that seminar on this video for all the people who want to get involved, to be a part of it. I think I'm going to, be one of those people that would that are going to be joining, because I think it's very, very interesting to look at, Palestine in the Ottoman documents and afterwards, and the remaining legacy of the Ottoman Empire on Palestine, and some of the impact and key events, that have integrated the two, nations together. As you mentioned, Palestine is as part of, modern day Turkey, as any during the time in history when it was the Ottoman Empire. It's part of who you are. There are exchanges between people. I'm sure there were intermarriages and children were born between Palestinians and people from the Ottoman Empire. So it's one people. It's one region. And it's interesting that you're telling the story. These are the details on our screen, but we're going to leave it here for now. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed. Much appreciated. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
Walaikum salam. That was Dr. Halim Gençoğlu. He's a Turkish historian working at the Wits University Political Studies Department, and he was giving us insight on a very, very interesting online seminar that they'll be hosting later on today, the 23rd of August, this evening at 7 p.m. And this is an online seminar. We'll put out the details on our screen in a bit if you want to join. And the seminar will be focusing on Palestine and the Ottoman documents and afterwards. So really, really interesting. Just listening to Dr. Halim now, I'm pretty sure that seminar is going to be one that everyone would like to listen to. Understand that there were people, there was civilization in Palestine. We know it. It has been documented before the Zionists and the Israeli occupying forces, made inroads and did whatever they're doing in the ongoing genocide that they're currently perpetuating. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be having Tebogo Mashilombane. He's a communications director at Save South Africa. And they're calling for the elimination of age limits for recruitment into government entry-level positions and police roles. And I think this is largely inspired by the unemployment crisis the country is currently facing, particularly when it comes to the youth. So we'll be delving into that discussion right after this short break. You're still listening to News and Views with myself, Salailo Makudir.